So explain how many barbershops are using the software right now and what you enable them to do.
Yeah, we've got a little over 1,000 barbershops using the full system. And what we do is we essentially handle everything that a barbershop needs to run their business, from the booking to the online payment to the point of sale payment in the shop, and then all the back end stuff, paying out the barbers, CRM, marketing. It's really a full end-to-end system focused specifically on the vertical of barbershops. We like to think of ourselves as providing everything that they need to run their business so they don't have to look outside of Squire for anything.
How much do you charge them for this? How do you charge them for this? And how did you come to that?
Yeah, so these are small business owners, and we felt early on that small business owners were pretty sensitive to their overhead, and there's a limit on how much you can charge them. So we charge a SaaS fee starting at $100 a month, going up to $250 a month, and that's really the upper limit of what we charge the shops directly.
So they can easily afford to pay that $100 because you're going to get them an incremental customer or two a month, and then they break even. Is that about right?
Yeah,
is that how they look at the decision?
Yeah, we don't really lead with we're going to send you new customers, although we do send some new customers. We really focus more on we're going to make your life easier and running your shop easier. We're going to streamline all of your operations. We're going to take things that used to take you 4 or 5 hours a week, and now it's just literally flipping a button, turning on one feature, and it handles it all for you.
And barbershops are actually collections of a bunch of little businesses, I believe, in most cases, like hair salons, where each of the barbers is running their own little 1099 business, correct? So if I own a barbershop and I have 4 or 5 people cutting or 4 or 5 chairs, they each are basically, I'm either renting those chairs out or revenue sharing. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Usually it's either renting, which we call the booth rental model, or it is a revenue share, which is called the commission model in the industry. So it's usually one of those or a hybrid of the two. And you're right, the overwhelming majority of barbers are 1099s, even though if they're on the commission model, they're treated more similarly to employees in the sense that they have a schedule and they have to kind of do what the owner says. And if they're booth rental, then it's really they just do their own thing. They come and go as they please. And
what do they charge for a booth rental? A barbershop in a major city, LA, Atlanta, New York.
Yeah,
Bay Area.
Around $200 to $300 a week usually.
Okay, so they pay $1,000 a month, $50 a day, but they get 100% of the revenue that comes in. Then
exactly. Yeah.
So if you had 6 chairs in your barbershop and you had them fully rented, barbershop's making $6,000 on the chairs. They're paying $2,000 or $3,000 to keep the store up and running. They make the other $3,000 clear.
Yeah,
is the basic concept for running it like a co-working space. This has got to be extremely complicated then in terms of billing and separating it. So that's what your software does is you say, hey, these 3 chairs are being rented. And then I'm assuming some people do a hybrid, right? Mm-hmm. Where they rent 3 chairs and then 3 chairs they're doing on commission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets surprisingly complicated really quickly, more so than most people would think. But yeah, you're right. Depending on how the shop is set up, the owner has to, if it's a booth rental, he's got to be on top, he or she has to be on top of collecting his money, every week. So that in itself, is a task. And then a lot of shops want to have a centralized point of sale system. So now, how do you divvy that up? How do you make sure that each barber gets paid what they're owed and the shop gets what they're owed? And then you have to think about routing tips. It can get very, very complicated. And that's what we solve for all of those pain points with software.